Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulna. Welcome to Islamic Finance Podcast. Everybody, come on in. It's time. It's going to be another fun and interesting podcast today, inshallah. But first, we need a simultaneous sip to get ready for this best part of the week. And all you need is halal liquid of any kind. I like coffee. Madam, you got a coffee today as well? Beautiful. So join me for this unparalleled pleasure, dopamine hit of the week for both of us. Things that makes this podcast much better to listen and enjoy, and also for us, inshallah. So it's called Simultaneous Sip. It starts now. 3, 2, 1. Bismillah. Beautiful. That was very good. So Miriam, how are you doing today? How's everything going?
It's doing good.
Back to study mode?
Yes.
What's the key to study properly?
Plan ahead.
It is surprising for many.
Wow.
Okay, so this week we are continuing talking about livelihood. And just to kick off, I saw a news. Jack Dorsey, who is the billionaire sort of investor. So he's a Twitter guy, CEO, probably owns some shares. I don't know how much. Actually, I'll just Google quickly. Is Jack the owner of Twitter? Jack Dorsey is an American technology entrepreneur and philanthropist who is the co-founder and CEO of Twitter. Okay, let me see how much of a Twitter he owns. Jack owns a couple of percent. A lot of people own a big company now. It's worth a lot of money, so he owns a couple of percent. In any case, he's a CEO and public face of Twitter. So the news this week is that he sold one of his tweets. Okay, so here is the news. Exactly, what does it mean? Yeah. So Jack Dorsey, the billionaire co-founder and CEO of Twitter, is attempting to sell very first tweet as an NFT, a digital good that lives on the Ethereum blockchain. He first tweet, which is available on Twitter.
Yes, it's not hidden.
It's not like...
It's not secret.
Only thing he wrote was just setting up he wanted to say Twitter, but he spelled it a little bit wrongly. So now he's selling this as an NFT or non-fungible token. Let's see what Wikipedia tells us about. NFT or non-fungible token is a special type of cryptographic token which represents something unique. So non-fungible tokens are thus not mutually interchangeable. This is in contrast to currencies like Bitcoin or utility tokens that are fungible in nature. So they are used in several specific applications that require unique digital items like crypto art, digital collectibles, and online gaming. Art was early used for NFTs and blockchain in general because of its ability to provide proof of authenticity and digital ownership. It looks to me they take something, then you can put it into this blockchain. Then
if someone tries to screenshot it disappears.
No, it's still there. It's still there, but it's like a copy. They're trying to say it's not original. You can copy the Mona Lisa or rare books. You can screenshot them.
Silly.
But this is the first thing. This is the original digital asset, and you can own it. There was a guy, he made some video. There is now, I think, NBA, I think they sell clips of their games. Like you can buy when your favorite player scored a point at the game, and you can buy the 10 seconds clip as your digital asset, unique digital asset. So think about it. He wrote something on a Twitter, which is in public domain. Now, there is a way for you to take that digital ownership. Not that it will erase the rest of it. You are now the owner of the asset.
So it's like, okay, there's dirt everywhere, and everyone can see it, And then what they've done is they've taken that dirt, put it in a bag, and been like, well, now you can own it. But everyone else has the same dirt.
Yeah, but that dirt will it will be on the blockchain and all the rest of the shenanigans. How much you think this tweet that is now available as a digital asset, as a collectible, in reality is a copy of that tweet? Because the original tweet is on the Twitter and you can access it. But this is a copy that is now saying it's a unique asset class. How much you think people are buying?
So much, because people are silly and they want to collect stupid things.
So it's now reached $2.5 million.
I'm telling you, people are stupid.
Okay. And actually, I went to the site. So it's called v.sen.co. and you can connect with your Twitter, and you can cut and paste your own tweets, and people can bid. I just tried with one of the tweets, just put random tweet, and they said, do you want to sell it? And I'm looking at a few other. Joe Rogan also posted, this is my first Twitter post in the middle of writing a new blog and getting my web presence in order. And so it's currently $20 somebody offered 7 minutes ago. So that will probably reach a lot of money. I don't know how to think about this whole idea.
So what do you own? Nothing. You just give someone, just donate that money to charity if you just want to give out money. People have too much money that they don't know what to do with it. They're like, let's make ridiculous items for ridiculously rich people to buy. That's what's happening.
I like that.
Why don't you just make more interesting things? Like things that you can do something with them.
This particular website only sells tweets. You can then see what you have collected in your collection. So you can then become proud owner of, let's say, 20 different tweets from these famous people. People can go on your profile and say, look at this great person. He owns 20 tweets. Collectibles.
Collectibles.
Well, who are we to say that it's not art, I don't know how much Mona Lisa go these days, how many hundreds of millions, and same idea, I guess. Why would somebody pay hundreds of millions of dollars for some of these objects?
Because you can't have the original.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're trying to create. What is the original? That it's only one is original. You can screenshot.
It's too late. It's not like Mona Lisa was painted and then he painted this, or he printed 15 million of them. And then he decided, let me try to make this one unique. There was only one. And then later when printing came into being, when that was already expensive, then they started making copies of it. Whereas now, we already had the screenshot function. You can't now make something that's worthless worth something. Well, apparently they can.
That's the main idea. With the original art or something, even if it is ridiculous that people are paying so much money for it, but like something was original, something was valuable on its own. So people wanted to acquire that. And so you had value and you have originality aspect. Value was intrinsic to that. So people were buying it for that purpose. Where now people are taking, as you say, dirt, something totally with no value, and they hope the value will be created because it's uniquely put into the blockchain. It's identifiable as a one and only whatever asset. And so I think this is where we enter into that area of being kind of like a wasteful and foolish, really, buying somebody's tweet. I guess it will be value for some people to have that kind of a symbol of ownership of something like that. But what does that represent? What exactly value we are talking about? It's just vanity. That is a sign to me of foolishness. This brings me to today's topic. We are continuing our book and our discussion on the livelihood. Introductory notes of this book written by Adi Setia. I have been reading some of his thoughts and some of the points, and that made me think about this idea we are talking right now, which is, when in Quran Allah is telling us that He permitted trade and prohibited riba. It's a big statement, and I think we often underestimate how powerful, how rich in meaning this is. And I always think about trade as something that is real, and riba something that is fake, artificial, foolish, without connection to the real life. And so when we think about Islamic economic system, I would draw a circle, which is the border representing all of different kind of prohibited activities. And outside of this are activities from which you shouldn't make money, or they are unethical by itself. So for instance, when you are gambling, it's outside. Making money through gambling, speculation of that kind. Also making money from something that should be charitable is beyond that side. So inside you have something which we could call as a moral economy. We have to ask ourselves, what is it with this activity that allows me to profit and not from the other activities? Looks to me, it comes down to this idea that when you are trading, you are producing something of benefit, and then you're putting that into circulation through process of selling it. That is all happening in the marketplace. And the whole idea is that you are profiting from something that satisfies some common needs and necessities in society. market connects those producers and consumers. It also provided social link. Another principle to keep in mind in Islamic economics is that money should circulate in society, not be just in the hands of few rich people. Now, how does the money circulate? So you could have trade, that is exchange of goods, or through some kind of gifts, donation, and charity. These are the two ways. One is commercially, you buying and selling something, so money moves. And another one is charitably or non-for-profit. When we're talking about charity, it's usually from rich to the poor people. When we are talking commercially, it could be anyone to anyone. Whoever is producing something is selling that something, whether the person is rich or poor. Even if you are a billionaire, you have to go to your grocery store, buy bread and milk. That could be produced by anyone in society. The money itself represented a link between different kind of people. It translates the terms of that exchange and value in order to satisfy common good, and it also socially links participants. If we look at other type of economy, which I call speculator to speculator economy, where just people between themselves betting on money. S to S economy, I call it. No value or common good is created at all. Money is not circulating anywhere except amongst these. We could term them also as rich people or people who have money to waste. Speculator to speculators. If we look at that gamification of economy or a segment of economy, Prophet ﷺ told us in hadith we talked about in a chapter on Gharar in previous season that we shouldn't sell something by way of tossing a stone. It was an example where a person decides the price of an object by, let's say, flipping the coin, and if it goes this way, the object is $5. If it goes the other way, it's $10. So we have uncertainty about the price between $5 and $10. Now think of going into something like Forex, where you're investing $1,000 and platform is just betting between you and your guesses. Nobody's really buying anything or selling anything. And you are now in between losing it 100% or gaining 100, 200 and many more percent. So it's not anymore the price is between $5, $10 or the difference in price. It's between you fully losing that 100% or fully gaining. And we're talking between 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, you can lose or gain hundreds and thousands of maybe percent. This is example of highly artificial, good for nothing part of economy. That is totally different to the real economy and trade. So when we think trade, we are thinking a mechanism that is serving the proper economic end. So what is the proper economic end? Earning and provisioning of a livelihood for the common good. On one side, we have common good that is through business and commerce, people produce and then sell to end customer products and services. That is what we call trade. There is end customer that is using the product. Product ends up being used for something real in life. Versus all the other riba and riba-like products and services in an economy, riba economy. I'll give you 3 examples. One is obviously riba. We understand, we talked about riba. It is very synthetic, fake, unnatural way of making money where money is giving birth. We talked about gambling, which is very clearly competition that does not produce anything again. There could be intersection of something that looks like a trade, but it is synthetic in nature. One of these transactions, what we called, I think we mentioned before, bail-ina. Bail-ina is when I have 2 transactions and I join together to create something else. So in bail-ina, I sell you something in installments and buy it back from you for cash. In this case, I create interest loan. So you have a debt and a money as a result of these 2 transactions. This is a mechanism through which people go around Islamic law to create outcome which is riba. So there is no real trade. In effect, I just give you something and I take it back from you and create an interest loan. They want to hide riba product behind some trading. Trading is just secondary. So how do we know that this is riba? Well, goods are not traded for themselves, but to make a loan, to make something that in itself, that result is prohibited. When people focus on bits and pieces and not on the full picture, we are then being foolish. We are then being very naive. Are there asset classes that could be traded? Like somebody produce some digital content, copyright, code. That's a legitimate, it has a reason and a function. We are talking here about, is livelihood something that is producing common good for communal well-being? And last time, in terms of leading by taqwa, we talked about prudence. Prudence when it comes to organizing your livelihood. But there is also another aspect that is necessary to reach that leading by taqwa, which is abstinence, zuhd. Because leading is about your self-discipline. Abstinence, in terms of zuhd, safeguards person from corruption. So what is the test when it comes to operational side? And this is very interestingly covered in intro notes by the author. And he was saying that abstinence and prudence, it's really about your sense of your inner worth and spiritual discipline. And it lies in the way one conducts himself in everyday trials, tribulation, temptation, worries when he is working for sustenance, whether by trading, working for wage, or practicing some kind of a craft. Based on this, how would you see prudent and abstinent person behave in today's economy?
I think that those kind of people, they have this ability to know what they need and only seek that out. But it doesn't mean that they live life like monks. That's not what it means. It means that they're just very, like we said last time, frugal. Like we talked about that word frugal. And they put importance on what needs to be spent money, where money needs to be spent. Say, for example, if they want their children to get the best education, they will put money into that. They won't consider that as something, I shouldn't put that much money into this. They won't think about the cost because that's what's important to them. But when it comes to, say, I don't know, food, they wouldn't have to go and get, the most expensive branded I don't know, beans or whatever. They'll get, the middle or even the no brand, the home brand version of the food because it's the same and it would give them the same benefit. So they'd spend money where it needs to be spent, but where it doesn't really matter, they won't spend so much money.
In similar way, I think what you're saying, if there is a quality, wholesome food, you would buy that food.
Yeah.
You wouldn't worry about, if you can afford it, of course. But you're saying if the food is same quality, but this one is different in a brand, it wouldn't be brand that would drive you. But if you have, let's say, cheese, and you buy certain brand, there is very little cheese or milk in that. It's just becomes like oily thing when you cook it.
That's a different kind of thing. But if you're talking like those small conscious decisions that you make, they kind of impact the way that you interact with money as well. Because if you're able to make that on a small scale, then when it comes to, for example, your clothing, you're getting a t-shirt. You don't need to get a t-shirt I'm not saying get a $2 t-shirt, but if you can afford a $500 t-shirt, you don't need to buy it just because you can afford it. Just go get a $15 good quality t-shirt. That's fine. That's what you need it for. You don't need to go and spend money on those ones with the big logos across the front.
So just to make clear, so we are talking about abstaining yourself from wasting money just because
you have it.
You have it, or you want to show off. There is no utility. There is no benefit. Some parents buy Prada or Gucci for their children, and child is like 6 months.
Yeah.
And it's like a diapers, Versace or something. First of all, that child will be out of that in two weeks. It's
a concept that they termed nowadays new money. So people who are newly wealthy are like that. They like spending so much money.
So just to make it clear, we are talking about following the desires.
You need to talk about it is because people, when you say zuhd, people often do consider it to be like monkhood, where you don't spend any money. You are not frugal. At this point, you're not frugal, you're cheap.
Mm.
You know, that's what a lot of people look when they say zuhd. They think that you can't spend any money, you can't have anything nice, you can't. That's not how you're supposed to think about it.
Some scholars say the zuhd is not about not having money in the hand. It's about not having money in your heart. My grandfather used to have a very interesting statement. He used to say, I'm not so rich to buy cheap things. And what he meant by that was, let's say you buy cheap bicycle. As soon as you go to heavy ride, the chain or bits and pieces will start falling off. So you need to repair it. So you pay a mechanic to repair it a little bit. And then again, in a few weeks' time, again, same thing. Even my own car, I had tires which were very good and they lasted 50,000 kilometers.
Mm.
I got different brand and after like 20,000 kilometers, they were gone.
Mm.
I need to replace them. And so when I think about I need to replace these tires twice, it ended up costing me more money. If I think today, should I buy expensive car, cheap car? Well, first of all, depends on what your budget is. If you can afford to buy Mercedes, it's safe, enjoyable to drive, comfortable. Okay, buy that. That's not a problem. If that's within your budget. But there has to be a awareness where after which it's not anymore about quality, it's about some other thinking. So prudent and abstinent person works in a wholesome enterprise. And this is what I gather from this introductory notes to the book. Number one, that person provides for his needs. He provides for family and dependents. And then the surplus is for the poor and for the rest of the community. While they work on earning a livelihood, they avoid illicit, abhorrent, and questionable business or financial decisions and activities. So haram, unethical, and so on. And they are turning away from this materialistic greed, overly opulent lifestyle. And so they live a life of solidarity with others and poor in specific. Their life is life of their humble devotion to Creator, to whom they will return and be accountable for these blessings. So a person is thinking, I will be accountable to that Creator. Wealth and livelihood. You are making that and then you need to give it. This is almost like giving charity to wealth is what ablution is to your compulsory prayer, salah. And that is a purifier. Anybody who is thinking that they will return to their Creator, He will hold him accountable for those decisions and blessings. That person will seek to do the proper ethical thing when it comes to that wealth. So the prudent person who is in control will always keep in mind that what I'm doing, how I'm making money, and how I'm spending money serves the larger picture. And this is where that mastery of the money is. I'm using it for the right thing, for what is logical, makes sense. I'm engaged in trade that provides the service and benefit for the society. But look at, with everything I'm doing, I'm serving the rest of the people. Even when I produce something, I make a chair or a food or a car, technology, I'm helping somebody. Yes, I'm making money. But look, that money again serves the purpose. I provide the needs for my family, my community. So really that goes to the end that this life is the test. What are we going to do and how grateful we are going to be with things that we are having. That's basically this episode. In next episode, we are going to tackle a bit more this idea that you initially told us, which is that some people connect the topic of zuhd, or they think that we should be lower hand, and they mistakenly think that this is tawakkul. They think that we should be like birds. They use the argument, if we have taqwa, he will provide for us, same the way he provides for the birds. But what they don't realize is that those birds go out. Yeah, exactly. They are not in the nest waiting what's going to happen. So we're gonna talk about this and more. So thank you very much for your time. We have asked you to maybe send us or share with us your financial goals. Few people shared on our Facebook group some of their goals. Inshallah, we will see you next week. Assalamu alaikum.